Hello, everyone. Welcome on into the Games Are Fun podcast. My name is Adam Beagle, and I'm going to be your host for this episode. We've got a great E3 related show for you. We're going to be recapping the events of this past weekend, talking about the conferences and the games. But before we get to all that, let me introduce my co-hosts. I have, of course, Luke the Llama, our Master Chief, joining here today. Luke, how you doing?
Good Master Chief. I think the first time I've been referred to as Master Chief, but I'll take it. That's very on brand for some of the like maybe a hint to some of my favorite one of my favorite announcements out of this past week. So I'm doing good, really excited for today's show.
Yeah, I figured we'll give you a name that sort of fits what's going on as well as just you're the master of Games Are Fun podcast, so it just kind of worked out. Also, we have my brother here, Stephen Beagle. Stephen, how are you doing?
I'm doing really well. Excited to talk about this and ready to get out of the way. I've had a lot of anxiety over trying to choose which announcements were I was going to highlight today, but I got a good list. I'm excited. I'm really pumped for this.
Yeah, I'm really excited to hear everyone's list. I spent some time crafting we all spent time crafting our own, and it'll be really interesting to hear how our lists kind of compare what we thought was good, what we thought was maybe not so good, and see if there's any debates or discussions or whatever we have. So yeah, again, today's show we're going to be giving all of our reactions and impressions from E3 2021, of course, the one that just transpired. We're going to share our thoughts surrounding all the major press conferences, and we're going to share with you some of our favorite announcements from the past week. Before we get the show started, we wanted to remind you that Games Are Fun is a weekly podcast. Each week, Luke, Steven, and myself, we get together, we talk about video game news, trending industry topics, we talk about the games we've been playing. So the podcast is available on your favorite podcast services of choice, such as Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, plus so many others. So just do a search for Games Are Fun on your favorite podcast platform, and you'll find us right there. This episode of Games Are Fun podcast is being sorry.
No, it's all good.
Uh,
That's my
uh,
fault. So this is where I'm like audience. This is where I'm throwing Adam totally under the bus because I have a show doc, and obviously I'm usually hosting the shows, and I have most things memorized, and so like there's something in there about us live streaming on Twitch right now, and that's not true. But we will return back to Twitch soon.
I'm Ron Burgundy. he just he reads whatever's on the teleprompter.
Yes.
Yeah. This is being recorded though, even though it's not live. We've got a video recording here for you. If you want to catch that, you want to see the video versions of the show, just make sure you go to our YouTube page and give us your subscribe there. Click the subscribe button, notifications, all that. So we could use some more followers over there. We're trying to get that custom URL link. So any support you can throw at us over on YouTube would be greatly appreciated. And like I said, you get to see our bright shining faces every week on those YouTube pages, especially if you can't miss those live shows
Mhm.
that we have every so often. So
Yeah.
if you could, we'd
You
really appreciate that.
you gotta subscribe because we need 1,000 freaking subscribers for a custom URL, and we have like 24, and we
Isn't it
appreciate.
only 100? I
No,
think
it's a
custom
thousand.
URL.
It's
Did
a
they change
thousand.
it?
Yeah, it's a
That's
thousand
Oh,
incredible.
with
wow.
a certain like threshold of like other some sort of other analytic of some sort of like uploads or something. I can't remember, but yeah, it's 1,000. I saw that recently. Um, Unless it is 100, but I'm 90% sure I just saw it and it's 1,000. So yeah, if you're listening, please subscribe. Like I think we got our last video actually did quite well for us. We're in the single digits on our YouTube channel because they're kind of a afterthought, right? We like focus on you audio listeners and Twitch, and then oh, let's throw it up to YouTube to anyone who might care. And the last one, there was like more than usual that cared. So we appreciate that, and we're gonna it's just a matter of trying to make the time to and energy into that channel. But for the time being, I mean, you can watch every episode now from here on out. Video wise, we have B-roll. It's a great place, so please subscribe to that.
Man, this show is off the rails already. I love it.
It's good. It's a good energy. I like it.
Yeah. All right. So yes, again, that's Games Are Fun podcast on YouTube. Please make sure you go check it out. Go give us that subscribe. We'd really appreciate it. As you heard, we've got a long road ahead of us, so any support you can give us would be super, super appreciated. So just a big thanks to everybody that joined in on some of the discussions and watch-alongs. My God. Watch-alongs that we had on the Games Are Fun Discord. I'm never going to be allowed to host again.
You're doing
It's gonna be
great.
great to get you off the script, though. The
Yeah.
script's killing you right now. You know?
No, it's not. It wasn't that. That was just me, just again off the
You're
rails.
doing great. You're
You're
doing
doing
great.
fantastic.
So yeah, the Games Are Fun Discord. Everyone that joined along there, it was so much fun. I really enjoyed being in those watch-alongs. Sometimes we had voice, sometimes we were just text chatting in there. Either way was an absolute blast, and it was nice being able to experience the events of E3 with everyone in that community. So, especially right now when everything's all messed up and people can't do things in person. Still, it's getting a little bit better, but we're still in that position. So, anyway, we can get to our main topic here finally, which of course, as we mentioned, is E3 and just a recap and coverage and thoughts and opinions on everything that happened. So really prior to E3 last Thursday, we had Summer Games Fest kind of kick everything off. So let's just dive into that real quick before we go into general E3. So there's Summer Games Fest, and then I guess it's sort of separately from that, we had Day of the Devs as well. So anything you guys want to mention about either of those events?
Yeah, Elden Ring looks like
There-
freaking awesome.
It's real. It's real.
It's real. Yeah, and kind of a surprise that was announced like right off the bat there. I like there was kind of like speculation that it was going to show up at E3 this year. But that was all rumors and kind of just, people kind of just thinking, oh, well, it was announced in 2019. This makes sense for it to be here, but which isn't always the case. And it ended up being here, and it's coming out early. Was it January 21st, 2022? So yeah, it looks awesome.
And good on Jeff getting that announcement. He
Yeah.
was super excited for it. He's
It's a
still
big deal.
super excited for it. Yeah, it was a big deal for him. He did a really great job showcasing some indie developers, which was great. A lot of it, honestly, like in the grand scheme of the week, there's not much other than Elden Ring that I remember from the Game Fest, but like it was a good show to have to kind of kick off the events of the weekend and get us rolling into it. And Elden Ring, since that is kind of the big topic from Game Fest, looked amazing. The aesthetic of the game, it immediately pulls you into that Souls-like, and then they have all these other things that kind of aren't Souls-like, mounted combat and sort of an open world exploration feel to it. Just looks like a really solid game on what they're presenting. And as long as George R.R. Martin has produced a story for this that doesn't flop at the end like the Game of Thrones, I think we've got something here that's really gonna kind of grip a lot of players and keep them playing this for a long time. It looks really great. It looks so good.
So from what I understand, and I heard this on, I think it was another podcast, is that he actually didn't write the story for this game. He essentially created the world and the lore that the team that was actually writing the story kind of built off of.
Gotcha.
So he wasn't writing that. He was writing all the backstory to give them a good foundation to create the story on. So it would be really
Great.
interesting to see how that all works out. And again, it's not it's not R.R. Martin's fault the way the show turned out, because
Yeah, I know. It's
that's-
just trolling.
yeah. So yeah, I think it'll be good. It looks great. I've sort of, I don't know, I've been on the fence about the Souls games here recently. Just I used to be good at them, and while it seems like I don't want to say I'm just bad at games now, but maybe the Souls games in particular seems to be where I've lost a lot of my skill in. That I don't know. Is this going to be classic Souls where it's going to be super difficult and only like the really good people can finish the game? But I mean, look at what happened with Returnal, right? A lot of people said that was really hard. I kind of blew right through it. So maybe I'm getting my touch back. I don't know. But
Yeah,
I agree. There wasn't really a whole lot that kind of stood out to me besides this. This was like the major one. I think it also pulled focus off of some of the other games too.
Yeah.
yeah. I, it was kind of like I was waiting for it to happen. I joked in our Discord chat, Elden Ring is like will show up here, and because that was the rumors, like literally hours going into it, that's what was happening. And when it actually happened, it was like it kind of just like I don't know, for me, like I'm not a typical Souls, like I don't play Dark Souls, I don't play Bloodborne, like those aren't typically my games, but this game, like I don't know, there's just like a certain like being part of the hype in it from the announcement, I think has been a part of it. And like just that you the things you mentioned, Steven, that how it is going to be a different game, like it's going to be really interesting. So like I know I'm jumping the gun a little bit, but I am going to say that like this was one of my favorite announcements coming out of the whole week, because it was like one of those games that I didn't really think would have been my cup of tea, because of my history with From Software. But then watching this trailer that had these shots of gameplay, like the moment when like the dragon comes on in the trailer, like it's just there's these really epic cinematic moments that I'm like, okay, I didn't expect that to be this game. I thought it was going to be a dark, dreary kind of like hard Souls like, you know what I mean? That's just
Mhm.
kind of more fantasy-esque. So yeah,
Yeah,
it
they're typically not my game at all. Souls likes, like the closest I get to it is Jedi Fallen Order. It's the closest I get to a Souls like game, but it's got that air to it, and the way that they put together the trailer and the hype that was surrounding this and the rumors and it was a meme, so everybody's just like, is it going to be here, isn't it? All that stuff got me roped into it too. Ultimately my brain's going to calm down on this a little bit and it's going to be like, well, this is just a Souls game, I'm not going
mhm,
to end up playing this thing. But I get what you're saying. Like
mhm,
it has this announcement one is absolutely one of the biggest of the weekend. Even though it's not going to be a game that I'm really going to be playing, I'm
mhm.
still excited that it was there, and it was great to see it, because it has that sort of draw to it where it's like, yeah, like we're here,
Yeah.
in this E3 Game Fest season. And
Yeah, a
it
big
was a great
hype
way to kind of send
announcements,
us into
trailers.
the weekend. It was so good. It was
Mhm.
so good. Perfect energy. Perfect energy.
Yeah, it really started things off on a high note, and it's going to finally maybe stop the all the chat memes, like
Hmm.
when's Elden Ring? Like, is this Elden Ring?
Mhm.
All those ones we talked about it before, but yeah, chat would always go nuts no matter what conference it was. It's like, give us Elden Ring.
Mhm.
Hmm.
So now here it is. We finally have it. So thank you, Keely, for finally putting that to bed. And yeah, just starting things off. So from there, again, there was Day of the
Oh,
Devs. Any
real quick, one other thing that I just because I know you guys probably don't care about it, but the Death Stranding
Oh,
director's
right.
cut
Hmm.
announcement, it was kind of like put in there. Weird trailer that was like Metal Gear, with the box and everything. Like lots of speculation over that you can go find on the internet, but it's kind of an interesting announcement, and I'm curious as to see if it is just like port to PS5 with some like maybe additional mission, or is this going to have like a lot more content that the original release didn't have. So that's I'm excited. I'm keeping my eye on that, and also Kojima teasing that he has like an announcement to share in a couple, or sorry, show more to show on Death Stranding in a couple weeks. But then there's also some rumors going around right now on the internet that we can save for another episode. But yeah, I just wanted to make sure I mentioned that.
Yeah. So does that mean new state of play maybe
Yeah,
coming up?
that's where I think it's going to be shown at, is at PlayStation. Yeah, because like, I mean, the PlayStation logo is the first thing to show up because it's showing
Mm,
this is the PS5 version, director's cut. It's going to have some sort of trailer showing off like what makes it different than the other. It'll just be a determination of how big is that additional content or whatever. It's probably some bullshit that's like,
Right.
like some dumb Kojima troll
money
thing. You
grab,
know what I mean?
money
Yeah.
grab for PS5 to
Yeah.
get people to buy the game
Yeah.
again, or
And then also like
whatever. Yeah.
Kojima also just being like, well, I can do whatever I want because it's like it does
'Cause
I
I'm
don't really
Kojima.
care. I'm just like doing my thing here, man.
And Jeff will sell it for me.
Yeah, pretty much.
Any thoughts on Day of the Devs that followed immediately after Game Fest?
Admittedly, that's one of the areas that I did not go back to. Excuse my dog.
All good. Yeah, so for me, I did watch this live. I should preface at the start of this that I didn't watch every single conference, I guess, because there's just like there was a lot. Like with it being digital, I think
Oh,
there is
yeah.
like a big addition of those like smaller presentations. But yeah, like there were some really cool announcements from there. Sorry, I'm just scrolling through my feed to try and find the ones I had pointed out. What did you think, Adam?
I loved it. I'm a huge fan of indie games, and there were obviously Day of the Devs. It's centered around indie games, so there was a lot to kind of there's a lot to like about it for me. There's a lot of games that spoke to me, a lot of games that I want to play. In fact, one of the greatest things to come out of all of this was there was and I think it actually happened a couple days before, but there is a playable demo out for one of these games called Unbeatable, which I think maybe I'll talk about a little bit more later on, but I'll just say right now, like that's I'm really excited to talk about that some more. But there's a lot of games in there. 12 minutes, was that in Game Fest or was that in Day? I think that was in Game Fest, but
It was
we
kind of scattered. It was all over the weekend, 12 minutes. But I
Yeah,
think Game
yeah,
Fest
that's
had
true.
it,
Yeah.
Xbox.
it was
had
on
it.
Xbox. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I'm not seeing it here in Day of the Devs. It was
Yes.
hard because it's like some of these initial announcements, like you said, popped on the Thursday, but then they had like maybe a
Mhm.
bigger showing on the Saturday or the Monday at some other conference, and it's
Yeah.
like so confusing.
Yeah. Things got scattered, and there's just so many of them that it's hard to keep track of
Mhm.
where they all showed up to. So,
Yeah.
Oh, Game Fest had Back for Blood and Evil Dead as well, didn't they?
oh
Those were
yeah,
two
you're
other
right.
ones. Yeah.
Yes.
Definitely Evil Dead.
Yeah. Evil Dead. And then a lot of it was just like some smaller announcements. There was one called Planet of Lana that looked kind of interesting that I wanted to give a quick shout out. Or no, that was Summer Game Fest, not Day of Devs. The other one that I wanted to talk about real quick is A Musical Story, which also like Unbeatable had a demo that went up when it was announced, and another rhythm game, but a completely different music style. Very laid back, very slow, methodic music. It's like a 60s kind of story of this, I guess, musician that's kind of like suffering from addiction and stuff, and you kind of like play through songs like that. So like, yeah, that was why this like Day of the Devs thing was cool. It's just kind of showing like really cool artistic games like Unbeatable, like A Musical Story. And then there was I think this was also the show where there was that what do you call it, stop motion game. I can't remember the name of it. I'm gonna try to find it, but there was a stop motion game, and this like it was a trailer of this game, and this person just was showing off how they made this like game of through stop motion animation. It was just like incredible, the amount of work, and it was just like a showcase of like just artists doing cool shit, basically, is like all these indie games were, and I love that. So like this, and like the pacing of everything, like I thought it was all really good compared to some of the other ones we saw.
Is that Voca Volantis? Does that sound familiar? Is that the
Yeah, it had
one?
some weird name, so I think that would be it.
Yeah. I think another one too was is it Tribes of Midgard? I think showed up in Day of the Devs as well, and that's one that I've been keeping my eye on as well. It's kind of your, of course, Vikings. Vikings was a big hit, so they got in on that, and it's sort of this Diablo Survivor type of deal. So look, 10 player co-op or something along those lines looks like a really interesting play. So I've been eyeballing that a little bit from Day of the Devs. They had a really great show. Now that I'm kind of going back through everything, like they did have a really good show of different types of games and things like that. But yeah, with that Tribes of Midgard, so this one caught my eye because it was that Diablo type. And then the other thing that they have to it is sort of like this these world events that occur where giants will show up and you kind of got to gather party and go take care of the giants with whatever you've been able to gather material wise and weapon loot wise through your exploration of this world. The one thing that's kind of keeping me from like absolutely yes I'm getting this is I want to see how big of a game we're talking about with it. So like, are we looking at sort of a fast pace, like maybe an hour or two you and your friends sit down and play through and can get through the entire thing, or is this like a long-term sort of gameplay that they're going to be doing? And that's what I'm going to be kind of looking at a little bit more as we get more information on that one. But it looks phenomenal. I like the art style of it. And like I said, those world events are really what's kind of interesting me, is kind of getting these big giants that are going to come through and maybe wreck your base and kill you. What happens when you die? Is it's a full-blown restart, that sort of thing. So anxious to see more of that one as it comes around.
Definitely, yeah.
Yeah, it looks pretty interesting. So yeah, and that was just the kickoff to things. That was Thursday before everything.
That wasn't even like
happened.
E3 technically.
Exactly. Right. Yep. But it definitely it definitely built the hype for E3.
Oh,
It's
yeah.
like, yes, like we had all these great games. There's going to be so many more great games coming in during E3. So yeah, and Saturday was the official start of that. And we got over the course from Saturday through Tuesday, there were so many events that happened. Of course, the big ones were Ubisoft, Square Enix, Xbox and Bethesda, Nintendo. And then there were some smaller ones too. We had Wholesome Games, Devolver Digital, Freedom Games, and then we had some stuff from Razer. We had
Ultra.
Verizon had a thing in there, which I do actually want to mention that later. It's certainly worth noting, not necessarily for game standpoint, but maybe if people are wondering, like, well, why was that even there, and you didn't watch it, well, there's, I think, a good reason for that. I think it actually belonged. So yeah. So what did you guys think overall about E3? Which conferences did you like best? Which ones did you not like so much?
So quick, I was very happy to have E3 back. The whole idea that
yeah.
E3 is dead, send it out the window. Like this, there was definitely that air of pandemic hangover from a lot of developers, just kind of like, okay, we're coming back into this. Some things got kind of pushed back a little bit, but here's some things and we're able to show those to you. So you had that air to it. But generally overall, the event itself was fantastic. I have only bad things to say about specific presentations, not as the thing as a whole. And it only gets me more excited about next year, where hopefully it's going to be back in person. We'll have stage presence again. We'll have crowd presence again. We'll have situations where games will be in the hands of the press and we'll be able to get a better representation to reporting on these games. It just gets me ready for that to come back next year. And I am adamant and cemented now in my opinion that E3 is not a dead convention, and to say so is just uneducated in my opinion. That's where I'm going. But it was a fantastic event over the weekend. I had a great time watching all of it and just soaking in and celebrating video games the entire time. It was so good. My letdowns were Ubisoft. Ubisoft was a letdown. It didn't have that same energy that we've seen from them in the past. And as we get into talking a little bit more detail about them, I'll kind of get into that. They were probably my biggest letdown of the whole thing. Gearbox wasn't that great either, but I think just because of the standard that we've seen from Ubisoft, like they just really kind of missed the mark this year. And maybe it was because of pandemic or the news that was going around about toxic people in the workplace, that sort of thing. Just kind of recovering off of those things probably played a role. The one that really killed it for me was Devolver Digital. Devolver Digital's showcase is my best in show. I was really thinking this over during the kind of putting this together, and everything that they did presentation wise made them feel huge. So like they're in there with Xbox and Nintendo and Gearbox and Ubisoft, like all these big names, and then here's Devolver Digital, all indies, just feels like a mammoth the way that they presented themselves. They had great comedy involved with it. It was absolutely hysterical. The skit that they put together with everything, and then the pacing that they had with presenting the games, they were absolutely perfect and everything. And we'll get into those games again as we get into it. And that's my miss, and that's my home run, and my overall thoughts. What do you guys think?
Well, first off, I just want to mention I'm really glad to hear you say that about Devolver, because I've been like, every year I'm like Devolver, because their shows are just so entertaining. It's that satire thing that they do, and they do it so well. The way they just poke fun at the industry, and they do it in such a good way every single year. They look at the different practices that these big companies are doing, and they're saying like, this is stupid, like,
Yeah.
and we're gonna make fun of you for it. And they do it in such an over the top, just absolutely bizarre manner. I am glad that they sort of retconned what they were doing the previous few shows, where they got in real deep in the weeds with this like future thing, and so much gore and violence and all that, which was like that stuff. It was very entertaining, but at the same time, it's like, where the hell are they even going to go with this anymore? So they did kind of retcon it back, and they brought it back more grounded in a way that I think helps make fun of these other big publishers in the best way that they possibly could. So big fan of that.
Yeah,
I'm
like,
glad
what was
to hear
the
that you liked it.
what was the actual name of the conference? Like, wasn't it something like, it was poking fun at like the plus and the max and the, like, all these things that are kind of
the
just
subscription stuff,
yeah,
right? Like
yeah.
all the subscription models that everyone has. Yeah, I don't
Devolver
remember
Digital
what the
Pass Plus something, like, it was something like
Yeah.
absurd like that, and it was like, and they said it after like every, like, in between every cut. It was so funny, so funny.
So and the funny thing is that like there was no subscription, right?
Yeah.
But every time they would do the thing, the Devolver Pro Pass Plus, and then it would be like premium purchase. So
Yeah.
it's like you have the subscription, but you're actually also paying for the games as
It's
a
just
premium
like,
purchase.
yeah,
The Devolver Max Pass Plus. That's
Yeah.
what it was.
Max Pass
And they
Plus.
had so much stuff that they showcased throughout, right? There's that very loud purple suit that they showed off, and they're like, and you can buy this, and you could really buy it.
Yep.
And at the very end, they have that VCR tape, the NFT. I won't say the name of it here on the podcast, but the NFT had adult wording in it, but it was funny, it was humorous, and they're like, and you can buy this tape, and you could buy the tape, and it was $1,000 on their store. And it was just, yeah, it was absurd, it was crazy, it was over the top, it was so good. It's everything that I loved about the previous Devolver shows, and they nail it every time. They're just so good at that.
Yep. They had a great presentation. That's why they took it away with me. I mean, like, and are we here? Should we just talk about the games from Devolver since we're just gushing? Should we just go right into it? 'Cause I'm
at
ready
any
to
moment
talk
you
about
can like
everything.
just call out anything you want.
So the with Devolver, it's a lot of small studios, indie titles, and typically I'm not like a big indie guy. You guys know this. Like I'm looking at the blockbusters. I want the big games coming at me. My most indie of games was No Man's Sky. So they had a whole
There it is.
pile of things. Yep, there it is. Got the No Man's Sky in for the episode. Just wait for the Final Fantasy 14. So Trek of Yomi, which is that samurai
Oh yeah.
that samurai game. I think this is going to be what I wanted Ghosts of Tsushima to be. And I'm really excited to get my hands on this game. Like, this is kind of one of those I don't need to see anymore. I've seen enough, and I'm ready to get my hands on it. And then Wizard with a Gun was a really good one also. Like, that one really caught my eye, and I'm probably looking to get that one as well. And Demon Throttle. Demon Throttle is from Doinksoft. I just wrote that down because I thought it was hysterical. But this one is like Nintendo. It screams the old Nintendo system the way that it is. It's an 8-bit bullet hell, and really goofy dialogue, like almost like that kind of like all your base are belong to us sort of feel to everything. And it's just a bullet hell shooter. That's really all it is. And just because of this kind of like nostalgic aesthetic that it's got going on with it from the old Nintendo days, this is one of those games that I'm really eyeballing from that showcase. It just looks like a lot of fun. Looks like it's co-op. Probably do some couch co-op and things like that. So it's going to be a definitely one that's on my radar. And it's just a little 8-bit pixel shoot 'em up. Seemed like a lot of fun.
And
Saying, man, indies blew things out of the water this year. Like so many great indie games. Anyway, yeah, Luke.
I was just gonna say the game only physical too. You can't
That's right.
buy it digitally. Yeah, exclusively through special reserve games. But obviously, I don't know if pre-orders are up yet. I did check that like after that announcement, and they were like up, but I don't think you could like place an order yet. So they had just had the listings up. So kind of like a, you know, there's that resurgence with limited run. This is special reserve. There's all different kinds of sites that do that, which is kind of cool, but kind of like a reverse thing. Usually it's like these games get the digital release and they come in and do a physical for all the collectors, but they're just going straight to that market right away to the collectors saying, hey, you're the ones that like to have that physical media. We're going to treat you with like this game that can only be obtained this way, which is kind of neat in my opinion. And then like in a year it'll be digital anyway, so it doesn't matter.
Right. Yeah. I mean, I hope at least you know, if it is physical only, hopefully it's readily available and not like,
Yeah.
oh, we're only making limited copies of the game.
For sure, yeah.
But,
Yep.
so yeah, so Luke, what did you think overall, and maybe some of your specific things you wanted to mention about these E3 shows?
Yeah, overall, like in general, it was very interesting just to see what E3 in this digital format was going to be like. They, you know, it was interesting because it was like, in a certain sense, this has kind of been E3 for most people who have, you know, don't go to the event and just observe it through live streams, just like we did this year, right? That's how, you know, most people see these announcements. They don't get the pleasure of going there and stuff. So really all it was is just removing the stage shows and replacing them with just edited digital events. And I think that was really helpful for some presentations. And I think that was like, I don't think that format worked with some of the companies that showed up there. I think some companies wanted to like kind of ride this like new wave of like, you know, getting out announcements and I think that there was definitely some that just really missed the mark. There were some that I heard were bad, like the what is it? Koch Media. I don't know what it is. It's Kock.
I think it's Koch.
Or Koch.
Koch Media.
Okay.
Koch.
Cock. Yeah, like I didn't watch that one live. I saw your message just saying like, what was this? I looked it up afterwards and skimmed through, and I was like, oh my god, I didn't even like, I literally clicked through the stream and every spot I clicked was just talking heads, and it's like, that's fine, and I think there's a place for that in certain settings, but like to be a lot like, here's our schedule of like things, it's just, I don't know, like it was weird. There was weird marketing all around, like even like the Bandai Namco, we knew that they were having some sort of presence, but all it was just their Dark Pictures anthology game that they talked about, right? So like when it goes up on the YouTube channels of IGN and GameSpot and Eurogamer and everything of like Bandai Namco's premiere stream at 3 p.m. or whatever, everyone like gets this idea of like, oh, Bandai Namco is gonna like come up with something, and it just automatically creates this like narrative that it wasn't Bandai Namco's fault. You could blame it on like lots of different things, right? E3, these the journal these journal websites like IGN, GameSpot, like making it seem and putting them beside things like the Xbox Game Showcase and the Nintendo Direct, when maybe they shouldn't be beside there, right? Like they're kind of like the director's commentary of E3. They're like the smaller things that like typically would be on the show floor, but because there isn't a show floor, they have to be somewhere. So it's just kind of like, I think like next year that stuff will be ironed out more. I think they learned from that, but overall, like I think it was really good as like a you know, a a digital week-long event with all these different companies that came in and contributed. Like, that's not an easy thing to pull off. And so I think it's really great. I think that, like, with Greg Miller, Golden Boy, like with the hosts and everything they had, like I tuned into some of that. I didn't watch all of it, but I thought like the production was really cool, and like none of it was like cringy really, or like it was limited in compared to years past. So yeah, like I don't know, like there obviously will go back, but like do they do something like this more? Do they add more? Like they, I guess they already kind of already did that with previous E3 of having a production for the home crowd as well as the crowd there. But I think the home crowd is now getting. We're gonna like in the years from this, like we're just gonna get better and better and better. So yeah, overall really liked it. Ubisoft sucked. Gearbox was sucked. Like I say suck as in like, in my opinion, they weren't great. Like I didn't think they were good as a whole. There were some other ones in there. I think Xbox, Nintendo just like killed it. I think those two were like really good. And then yeah, I would echo already what we already said about Devolver. So
Yeah, Ubisoft. So, and I mentioned with their energy that they've had in previous E3s, you can always count on them to bring out a dance crew for Just Dance, and you can always count on having somebody up there giving some great commentary and introducing the games to us. You always count on like just an air of levity whenever they came up. And you didn't get this year in their digital, and you would think that they would be on the lines of like of having a production like PC Gaming or like or uh, Devolver, you know, just kind of having a comedic air to it. And all it was, it just felt like a huge PR video from them the entire time. And yeah, we got some announcements about things, and we got Mario plus Rabbids 2, and that was there. And but it was just like, you know, setting aside the fact that we didn't see, you know, Beyond Good and Evil 2 or Black Sails, like we didn't have those things announced, but
Which
like
was a safe prediction, by the way.
yeah, that was my
apparently.
safe prediction. Well, we had Elden Ring in 2019 announced, and it was here.
God,
That was one of those ones where
we
if
have
it
to.
makes sense, it seems like it makes sense, but then it doesn't happen.
For anyone who might have missed our last week's episode, we made a bunch of predictions, and at the end of this episode, we'll run through them real quick of like who was right, who was wrong, and you'll probably laugh at some of us, but yeah, that was a good one for sure.
Yeah, that was, and it was. I remember getting debated too whenever they started in space.
Oh yeah,
Plus
yeah.
But it didn't have that. Like we had this PR plug, and then Avatar. You know, like it was just kind of like
that was so weird.
this is it. This is what you come up with. Like we have all of those years past where you had a really light, jovial, comedic show, and then we have this. And I get it. You're coming off of some bad PR and things, and you want to show that it's an inclusive company, blah blah blah. But you don't need to do that the way that they did it to make it seem like here's a training video for Ubisoft. You're coming to work at Ubisoft. Here's your training video. That's basically what we got from them. And that was the big disappointment from them. It took away from the big announcements that they had, because Avatar looks great. I'm anxious to see a little bit more about it, but their show overall stole that excitement away. Mario plus Rabbids 2, again, their presentation, the way that they're doing things, it just kind of stole away from the game. We're learning more about Ubisoft and their inclusivity now that they've gotten rid of toxic people versus what they're supposed to be doing, which is making video games. You know, that's kind of my feeling on that show. I wish it would have been what we knew them for, which is fun, lighthearted, good time.
Yeah, when it comes to Ubisoft, it's I don't know. It's what you said, right? Because we're all expecting like this kind of, you know, back-to-back game announcements, things like that, and we didn't get that. Like you said, it was a lot of PR stuff, and you know, based off of prior events. And it's on the flip side, I want to bring up Verizon again, because again, like Verizon at E3, like what the hell are they doing there? Did either of you guys watch that?
No.
I didn't. I didn't get a chance to. No.
So basically what it was is it started off like, oh, we have 5G and this is why it's great for all the gamers out there. And it was basically a big old 5G commercial. But then they turned the back half of it into a very big inclusivity in gaming, you know, moment where it's they're focusing on these are the things that we're doing to employ and create gaming spaces for women. And so they talked about esports and things like that, and basically setting up like these uh I don't know. You think about it like a gym, but for esports gaming. So it's like these big, fancy looking buildings with all this tech, PCs, equipment for gaming, because they're training, right? They're training their skills for these esports tournaments and whatnot, and it's kind of them going into like, we need more women gamers. Here's what we're doing to support women in gaming. And I thought that was really cool. And then they also have this initiative to where they're going to be doing sort of that same thing on where they're going to be creating gaming spaces in historically black colleges that's going to promote more inclusivity. So they're focusing a lot on making sure that women can participate and feel included in the gaming space. They're making sure that people of color feel included in the gaming space, and that they
Right.
have the opportunity to be able to be included in that. So I thought what they did was really nice, and it wasn't game focused at all. It was just, this is what we're doing. Here's the initiatives. They're putting money into this. Whereas with Ubisoft, they're just like, okay, we got rid of some douchebags, and now here's a story about a woman in Ubisoft that has expanded her career, even though she didn't have much in the way of schooling or training. And like, that's fine, but I don't think that was really the place for it, because again, like, Verizon was backing it up with action, and I guess in a way Ubisoft is too, but maybe not in the same way, in the way that it just felt like, okay, we need to redeem ourselves, and we're going to use the most public stage that we have to do that.
Mhm.
So, any other thoughts on Ubisoft?
Good points.
I will say Riders Republic looks really fun, and it's
It
like,
looks dope.
I like, this was a game that was like, man, this looks like so much fun, but I don't know if it's like looks fun enough that I want to go and like buy it. But then I saw this like gameplay trailer, and they kind of like, we got it like a pretty lengthy view of like some different modes and all the different sports and stuff. And honestly, like, it looks like a blast, because they're like, it's madness. There's jetpacks, like it's all the same stuff that they showed previously, but more game modes, right? Like, there was a section where it was snowboarders in half pipes, and like, it's just like, I snowboard in real life, I skateboard I love extreme sports in real life, I love extreme sport video games. So like, this is like just taking everything and just throwing it all together, and it looks like it's just totally ridiculous, and also like really like entertaining at the same time. So I
race with a hot dog cart.
yeah, like
Right.
there's some really like really absurd things that they showed in the trailer, of like different vehicles and vessels you can use to go down the mountain. So like, I would love for this to be like a Game Pass game, because it would like dominate. But honestly, like, I'm considering I do want to buy it, like, because it just like, this is like a game I would for sure, just like, even if it was just snowboarding, like we're seeing in the gameplay here, like, this is fun. It's just is like some sort of like Tony Hawk like multiplayer mode, but with snowboards. So it's like, that's just a game mode. You could also like flying squirrel suit down a mountain if you want, or take this mountain bike down a mountain. Like, it seems like it's a really fun sandbox.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, this game would be absolutely perfect for something like Game Pass, right?
Yeah.
That would be, I think, the way for me to actually get it and play it. It looks great. I think it would be a lot of fun, especially with friends, but I just don't know that I would pay the money for it. If it was like a free to play, but they had, your usual
Battle pass or
and
something.
yeah, exactly. There are ways to earn in-game things, stuff like that, battle passes, whatever. I think that would probably be enough to convince me to play it. But yeah, again, paying, game prices are now up to $70. So if this is a $70 game,
$90
I
Canadian.
just
Thank you
don't
very
know.
much.
How much? How much? Canadian?
$90 Canadian.
Oh my God,
That's how
dude.
much Ratchet and Returnal cost me.
Man, that's rough.
Yeah.
Yep, that's
Um, but yeah, so I mean, maybe if there's like a sale on it, price reduction, something
Yeah,
like that,
and
I'll
it is
hop into later
Ubisoft,
on.
so
But
I guarantee, like not to say they'll be that because it was a crap game, but all Ubisoft games like generally will go on sale after about a month or two. Like especially
mhm.
leading to Christmas, like this
Yeah,
game will
that's
be
true.
like $30. You could probably pick it up around Christmas time on like some sort of discount or Black Friday deal if it's
Yep. Yeah,
so.
that's a
Yeah,
good call out. Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, typically Black Friday they tend to put their games on
Hmm.
sale. So yeah, maybe that's the time to pick it up only 2 months after it launches.
Yeah.
So yeah, not bad.
Yeah, it's definitely in that realm of Among Us, Fall Guys, Knockout City, just kind of like, ooh, this looks like a lot of fun. I want to try it, but not so much maybe pay full retail
Hmm.
price for something like it. You know, it's just but it does look like
I
a
think
lot
I
of fun.
might
This
though.
was
I
it
think I
was
might.
a very good announcement.
You can be our man on the inside. You can let us know
Maybe.
if it's
Yeah.
worth the full game
Yeah.
price.
Yep.
I will say Capcom had a really bizarre show.
Yeah.
I'm not sure what they were thinking with that. I mean, a lot of that probably could have been spread around to maybe some other events or something like that. I don't know why they needed to have one specifically. And I know we mentioned Luke. I think you said what I was thinking is when they were cutting between like the lady that was doing the presenting and cutting to their game trailers or whatever, they would show clips of her of when she was talking. It's like
It
what
was
I
weird.
don't understand. Yeah, it was
Weird
just
energy
so
that show. Yeah.
is very weird energy, very weird energy.
Mhm.
Yeah, there was a lot of stuff in there. People, I think again, we are kind of overhyping because Capcom has its own events. Whereas if this was in person, maybe they would have just had a booth. We would have gotten smaller
Hmm.
like interviews with the devs or something like that, where we would have got some of this bite-sized information
It's
still during
those.
E3, but on another platform. So the
It's
fact that they were
those.
like,
I was
go
just
ahead.
gonna, like, you know, during E3's past, they would have, you know, IGM and GameSpot, they would have teams on site, and
Mhm.
developers would come in with their games, and people would be there to demo it. Like, this
Hmm.
is this is one of those shows that I think would have benefited from that again, where like during our time between conferences, having people come in and demo the games. That's one thing that I'm really excited about getting back, because this is one of those situations where like this would have been better off in one of those little
Hmm.
uh, you know, demo mode sections of IGN or GameSpot or, you know, Twitch Gaming, whatever it may
Yeah.
be. This would have been a good place for them to be, is just kind of showing off what they've got going on or talking with the developers, that sort of thing. But yeah, it was a
Yeah.
weird one.
And
So
then Square, they promised us back-to-back announcements, but instead of back-to-back announcements, we got half of their show was all, which was they gave us a surprise, which was nice, and it looked pretty good. Is
I
Guardians of the
was very
Galaxy?
surprised.
yeah,
Yeah, Guardians of the
Yeah,
Galaxy.
it,
Sorry.
it was definitely a surprise, and it looked good. It looks like a decent game. It's got that Guardians of the Galaxy quirk and charm to it that makes it very appealing. The combat looks pretty fun, even though you're only playing as Star Lord throughout the entire game, which seems a little odd,
Yeah.
but you do have the ability to call in specific attacks from your teammates and things like that. But yeah, they spent 20 minutes on this game alone, which again, when we were kind of expecting just back-to-back announcements the whole way through, was a little bit of a shock. I'm trying to think what else they show. When it came to their Final Fantasy games, it was pretty much all just a montage.
Hmm.
mhm.
We kind of got debated a little bit, and there was definitely some memes going around on the internet of the Final Fantasy pixel remasters that they're doing, which I think are going to be great. But then they announced it's only coming to Steam and mobile, which seems again very odd considering that these were console games growing up, and
Right.
now they're locked to mobile and Steam. Hopefully that's temporary, but still a little bit. I don't know. There was again some memes about it, which turned out to be pretty interesting. They showed a demo or a trailer for Final Fantasy Origin Stranger of Paradise, which did the game no justice at all
Ooh.
because the same day they launched a demo for it, which didn't work. It took about 2 days for the demo to actually work, and I played it, and it's great. I love the gameplay of that game so much because it does feel sort of soulsy, but it's like Souls mixed with like Devil May Cry or something like that.
Yeah.
Or maybe it just kind of has that style to it. But the gameplay of this was really really fun. I can't wait to play a little bit more. Also, like graphically, for whatever reason, the trailer didn't do the graphics justice either, because the game does look visually better in the demo. Maybe because I wasn't playing on compressed, because the trailer would have been compressed for the event, and maybe it was because of that. But yeah, it looked better overall in the actual demo. But yeah, gameplay was fun. It was much more involved than I expected it to be, and I'm actually really excited now for this game to come out.
Yeah, and the positivity that's coming out from those who have played the demo, because as it's coming out to all consoles, but only the PlayStation 5 got the demo for some reason. Boggles my mind why I can't do this on Xbox. But all the positivity that's coming out from the demo, the music, the aesthetic, the gameplay, everybody is raving about this, and I'm so happy that the trailer has done no justice for this game, because this is going to be one of those Souls games like Jedi that's going to pull me in, and I'm going to be all about it. I'm anxious to see how they play with the story, because this is based off Final Fantasy 1 from the Nintendo. Back in 1987, I think that game came out. So this is kind of a reimagining of that tale, and I'm really excited to get into that lore of it and see what's going on. Plus and everything I'm hearing about the gameplay sounds great. I'm hyped for this. And Pixel Remaster, the Final Fantasy 1 through 6 Pixel Remaster, like that's another one like that. Those two things grabbed me from the show. Guardians, awesome, yeah, Marvel, but like their Final Fantasy content for me from Square is what makes me love this company, and it sounds like they've got a really great plan. As for the remaster sticking to just Steam and mobile, that's got to change, right? That has to be some sort of adjustment that's going to come over time as these things start releasing, that we're going to maybe see them at least make it onto the Switch, where Nintendo originally held these properties. PlayStation, who is big into Final Fantasy with 7 remake and 16, like all those things kind of being exclusive to those consoles, to that console for now. So like, right? Like, is it really gonna be just Steam and mobile? That's so it'd be so odd. It'd be so odd. I had thought for sure that Nintendo was gonna show that they were gonna get these things too, and it didn't happen, which was kind of boggled me. Like, I feel like they're chopping themselves. They're losing some money if they don't do it. I'm gonna get them if it's Steam only. Well, so be it. I'm gonna get them, but I would love to have them on my Switch. That'd be so good.
Oh yeah, that'd be perfect. I will say, for anyone worried about the main character of that Final Fantasy Origin demo running around in his long johns, very early on that changes.
Chaos. How many times does it say chaos in the demo?
A lot.
Yeah.
Yep. But yeah, you get armor and it changes his appearance, and you get it very, very quickly. So
okay, wait, sorry. I gotta interrupt just to go on the chaos one more time, because this comment on this YouTube trailer with like 2.3 upvotes has timestamps of every time chaos is said, and there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 times chaos is mentioned.
Yeah, we counted it live on
yeah. That's so good.
How many times he said chaos? It's so many times. The trailer, I was sitting there, I'm like,
and they say it more throughout the demo too, so there's even more than that, if only a couple more. But yeah,
I gotta check the demo out, because when I didn't catch Square live, I had to watch it like about an hour after it aired, and like, you guys know me, like I'm like clueless when it comes to Final Fantasy and all that, but like this is like watching that trailer really cool, and like again, just like it seems to be like fitting to like my gameplay style. Every like reason why I didn't like playing Final Fantasy seems to have been like modernized in a way that's like including gamers that maybe didn't like that kind of gameplay style. So like I want to check out this demo so that I can give my 2 cents for someone who has no idea like any lore or story or anything really.
Yeah, 15 and 7 remake did that too, where they're kind of just like, they're gonna have, I think 16 is probably gonna go back into sort of that more classic Final Fantasy style, maybe. But like they're kind of getting into this style of RPG that goes away from that turn-based, that didn't appeal to everybody. Like this is like the style that they're doing now with these things is just kind of getting a wider appeal for stories that I love, and I cannot complain about that at all.
Yeah.
You know, it's just because I always all the time want to share my love for Final Fantasy all the time. It's my favorite game series of all time, and being able to get that story into other people's hands who don't necessarily like the turn-based RPGs and definitely don't want to go back and play the first one from 1987. I think this is a really great opportunity to introduce everybody to the Warriors of Light, what they do, and get into a really cool plot mechanic. I think that they have the potential to really explore in this as well. So yeah, great announcement. Really good one. Terrible trailer. Great announcement.
All right, now I do want to get to our lists and all the games that we want to point out.
And we do. Can we talk about Nintendo now for a little? Just
sure.
Yeah. Let's talk about Nintendo, because let's be honest, guys. This is why we came here tonight, gentlemen, is to talk about this Nintendo Direct. But in all seriousness, Adam, like you start us off this time. Like, what did you think of the Direct?
I mean, it had what I wanted. It had the thing that I wanted.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, that right there wins E3 for me. They had the thing that I've wanted for years and years and years and years that they really actually delivered on. Because which was Metroid Dread, by the way. I mean, WarioWare. No. Metroid Dread, a 2D Metroid game, finally. And it's a new one. Right? Because the last official new 2D Metroid game that we received was Metroid Fusion on the Game Boy Advance. That's how long it's been. Since then, we've gotten remakes, right? We had Zero Mission and we had Samus Returns on the 3DS a couple years back. And finally, we get a new original story that continues in that timeline of Samus. Now, the thing that worries me is they had an interview with the director during the Treehouse, and it sounds like this is the conclusion, I think, to Samus's 2D run of Metroid games, which is kind of upsetting. I don't know if that means there's going to be other Metroid games, but with we're going to be following other characters. I'm not sure what that means. Maybe we have I hope it doesn't come down to no more 2D Metroid games, because that would make me so sad deep down. But this was like the fact that we didn't have Prime 4, the fact that Breath of the Wild 2 isn't coming till next year sometime, the fact that we got this game made all of that okay. I don't need all that right now. What I need is this. I need Metroid Dread, and that's it. Everything else was gravy. It was a great, and don't get me wrong, the rest of the Direct was really good. It was just all gravy once they gave us this. And as soon as he was like, Metroid Prime 4, we need more time on that. And I'm like, he's saying this because they have something else to show. I knew right when he said that. I'm like, it's 2D Metroid time. And sure enough, it was 2D Metroid time. And yeah, so that just, oh man.
So good.
And it looks good. It looks so good. It
looks so good. Yeah, and it's coming out in October. We only have a couple months to wait.
I like the idea that they're kind of deviating away from, and you mentioned this too, the morph ball bomb start. We're gonna get different gadgets at the start of it. There's this great mechanic with these robot dogs. What are they? The
Emmy?
The Emmys.
EMMI. Emmy,
and different ways of dealing with different versions of them. And the gameplay that they gave us in the Treehouse was just the first section of the game. And like my love for Metroid doesn't go as deep as what Adams does. This is something that I've just kind of came into. I decided one day, because it was on the Super Nintendo on the Switch, I was like, you know what? I'm gonna take some of those speedrun strats that I learned from GDQ and watching Adam, and I'm gonna apply them and see if I can beat this game really quick. And I got through in like 4.5 hours. It was great. It was a great time playing it. And now like I want to play more Metroid, and this is like having a new one. I think I'm more excited than maybe going back to Fusion or going back to Samus Returns or something along those lines. Like I'm ready to I'm excited for this game too, coming out in October. You're right. Like this is soon. And I was with you. Like he just said Metroid Prime 4, but they're waiting on it. And that was one of the brilliant moments of Nintendo, is that they name dropped it. They're still making the game. No other conference was really like, hey, we know you want to see this, but like hold on. It's coming. you know, but we're just not ready yet. But here's something to kind of satiate the need a little bit. And Nintendo just, they primed that moment
I
so
will
well.
say that
They primed it.
I will say that
Not intended.
Xbox did technically do that at the very end of their show. They like literally listed Fable. They like gave all their announcements saying like a similar kind of statement or whatever, just to
Maybe I missed that. I
Yeah.
might have missed it.
no, they did share
that,
that,
again,
and
like-
there were Xbox did get some sort of today as of recording got another press event where there were even some more news information such as Hellblade 2. Like there were some things that weren't at
I
E3
did see Hellblade,
that
yeah.
showed up here, which also kind of interesting how they chose that. But sorry, I just wanted to throw that in because it just sparked a thought and I had to mention
No,
it.
thank
But,
you, because
yeah.
I maybe missed it, or
It was like
underneath
a Phil
the hype of
Spencer
Xbox.
line at the end of like his farewell kind of thing. So
Yeah. But yeah, just the way that they built that moment up. Hey, we know you're looking for this. We
Yeah.
know you are. You know, but here's Metroid 2, Metroid 2D, Metroid Dread. And it was just a great moment that they built up at that in the middle of the show there. The other one too is that Mario Golf game, Mario Golf Speed Rush. Oh my gosh, guys, that game is
Super
gonna
Rush,
be fun.
yeah. Oh man,
It's
it
gonna
looks
be
so
much
good.
fun.
Next
I'm
month.
really
too.
excited for the Mario Party stuff, like the older Mario Party stuff from
Yeah.
like games. What is it, 1 through 3, to
The
make their way
Nintendo
into
64 games, yeah, 1 through 3.
They're finally supporting Mario Party, which I mean, at this point, I thought they were just going to be making a new one, but finally, after years of this game being
Oh,
out, they
that's
are
the-
finally bringing more content, even if it's old content, just remastered. They're finally bringing more content to Mario Party, so good for them.
What
Quick,
else was there?
I wanted to give a quick shout out to a couple games. There was a quick announcement, Cruise and Blast. I don't know if you guys know Cruise and Blast.
Yeah,
Such
Cruis'n
a
USA and Cruis'n World games.
Yeah, the
Mhm.
Cruise and Blast is like like their newest, I guess, newer arcade game, and I like played it pre-COVID, way back when. It like I remember going out and just like it was like such a fun arcade racer, and like I want like the only thing that like gives that level of like fun for me is Mario Kart. So like I hope that they're like me and Meg love playing like arcade racers, like Hydro Thunder and stuff like that. So like I'm hoping that that one works really well on the Switch. So I wanted to mention that one. We mentioned it a couple times, but I am genuinely excited for Mario plus Rabbids. That was a game that Adam, you and I have talked about it quite a bit on the show before. It's one of those like Switch games that kind of get, because people see Rabbids, they kind of are unattracted to that and think it's some silly game, but it's actually really fun and has some really incredible gameplay. Some of the funnest gameplay I've experienced on a Switch, because it was I got that game honestly before I got Odyssey. It was like that, because I bought my Switch late. It was like that and Breath of the Wild. So that was my first Mario experience on the Switch. So I hold like a lot of like nostalgia or whatever, like memories of like playing Mario on the Switch for the first time with this goofy rabbit characters, and bringing it into the galaxy and stuff like that. Like that's gonna be really fun, and I'm interested. Adam, I think it was you, maybe somewhere mentioned like the gameplay and will it be the same? And the way it kind of looks in the trailer is like they have like the same kind of combat system, like the XCOM style of choosing out your attacks, but instead of like that grid pattern, it looks like it's more like section based. Like I don't really know. They didn't really showcase it a lot, because keep in mind it is not coming out until next year. So I just want to see like what is because the gameplay was so fun. How have they expanded that?
Right.
I'm interested.
Yeah, I mean,
in
it
that.
just kind of looks like a better version of the original one. So like you have your movement space and you can free run anywhere within your movement space instead of being tied to certain grid points. So yeah, it just seems like they kind of just, took it to the next level, and it's going to be a better version of, the game that we already had, more characters and, new weapons and things like that. So I think, I think it's going to be really good.
Yeah.
So yeah, Nintendo was awesome. I know we touched base on it before. Xbox and Bethesda was really good.
Yeah,
But
that's my elephant in the room is Xbox Bethesda. This showcase, this was my number 2. The was 30 games, 27 on Game Pass, probably like 15 of them I actually want to play too. So like they have a really robust show. Halo Infinite, Battlefield 2042, Diablo 2 Resurrected they announced for release this year, replaced the indie game from Sad Cat Studios, which looks really interesting. And then my number one big one that I was really, really glad to see, and almost was one of my predictions, but I didn't do it because I made terrible predictions this year. But Age of Empires 4. And Luke, I know you're with me on this one, but
Yeah.
this game looks awesome. And all I need them to do then, because they've got great tunes that are going to be with it. They've got Witcher 3's composer working on the music for it.
Baby.
The game looks amazing. The only thing they need is just one little wallow. Some of those old sound effects from the
Yes.
early games. I'm done. It's over. My
It'll just
nostalgia
like
is
it will like
complete, and
hit
I'm
it,
gonna play it.
hit like a thing then back in your memory that just gets triggered, and you'll like
Yep.
yeah, your pupils will dilate.
right.
Just sucked in.
Yeah.
That and like the all
Yeah.
those crazy sounds that we
Yeah.
used to have back in the old ones. Like I'm really excited about it.
Like, yeah.
Yeah.
Ooh, no.
But one of the greater ones that was presented in Xbox trailer wise, and the Outer Worlds, the first one I never really played. Maybe I'll give it a try because the trailer of the Outer Worlds. You guys remember that trailer? Like
Oh yeah.
so
Mhm.
memorable. It was
It
so
was
funny.
it was
Just
kind of one of those like poking fun at video game
Yeah.
trailer things. Yeah.
and
It was good.
they ran through it so well. It was so funny. It was just like add this in for this effect and like just
Yeah.
the wand, add the wand,
Yeah.
and like it was just
And that can only mean one thing.
have people running for no reason at all. But it was just a really good, just again poking fun at the industry, like you said. It was a
Mhm.
good one, but a ton of stuff. Game Pass is amazing.
Yeah, that's
I was
what's
telling
like
Twitch-
crazy about the show is just like when you see the announcements and just like knowing like behind everything is just like Game Pass, like I have no worry watching this press conference of like my wallet screaming at me. It's like you're already paying for these games, you know what I mean? Like that's what's great about it is come launch day I just install them on my PC, or the possibility of the new circulating around of Xbox One's streaming next gen games through xCloud and stuff like that on those devices. Like it's just gonna be awesome for Xbox.
Huge accessibility
yeah,
for
yeah.
gaming, like huge. It's so cool too. And I think of the 3 games that aren't on Game Pass, 2 of them I'm buying, and that'll be Battlefield and Diablo 2 Resurrected. What was the third one? I keep on forgetting.
Far Cry.
Far Cry. Yeah. So like I know that's in your wheelhouse there,
Mhm.
Luke, but Far Cry, like no reason. I've got 2 games to buy on Xbox over the course of the next year, and that just feels really, really good. Because you go to E3 and you're expecting your wallet to just start weeping as soon as you start seeing things, and Xbox provides this opportunity that is just like, I'm going to be able to play all these games and really only have to worry about paying my subscription service, and that's it. It's that Netflix feel of things or whatever, it feels good. Feels good.
Well, I want to hear what we have on our list. I will just
Mhm.
say a quick call out is one of the shows that aired that probably didn't get a ton of attention is Freedom Games. If you all haven't seen that, go check it out. There are a bunch of amazing indie games on there. I do want to call out one specifically. I know Nishan was super interested in. It was called Koromon, and it looks like it's basically Pokemon. If you like Pokemon, you're probably going to like Koromon. The monsters look great. The animations look phenomenal. It just looks like a really, really good alternate version of Pokemon. And I did want to mention that here real quick. But so yeah,
And
I
I'll
want to
bring
hear.
up the PC show. PC show was good. There's
Yep.
there's a handful of good games in there as well. So, a little disappointed on some of them that were shown, but I was glad that they were shown. But yeah, it was overall, again, just a really good presentation. What you would expect from PC gaming,
Yeah, it was good
in the
fun.
shows that they give at E3.
So we have basically 3 categories. We have games that we're totally sold on that we're definitely going to get. We have ones that we just maybe we need some more information or we're kind of on the fence. And then we have ones that are just kind of a, we're just gonna pass. Not super interested in. So I don't know. What do you want to start with? I figure we can just kind of quick fire what we have in our list, and then we can kind of discuss any major standouts.
Sounds good. We can do that.
You guys
So
I want you guys go first because there's a couple things I need to change in just like the way I formatted a couple things here.
So
go
I
ahead.
guess first off, like there's very few games that I found that, I mean, I guess if anything's not on the like the sold on or on the fence, maybe not necessarily not interested, but I'm probably there's probably a reason its name didn't get on the list. But it could just be maybe I forgot about it or something like that. But maybe let's start with that. I mean, for me, you guys aren't gonna like my pass list, and it's pretty short. And it's Far Cry 6, it's Battlefield 2042, and it's Age of Empires 4. Not that those aren't going to be good games, they're just not ones I'm interested in. That's all.
I'm literally playing
Like, you've
all
never
three.
been an RTS. Never been an RTS guy. I completely.
No.
But
Like
Age
there was
of
that
Empires is
moment
so
a
good.
long time ago with StarCraft.
I respect Age of Empires. I respect StarCraft. I respect Civilization. Like, I think they're great games. They're just not for me.
yeah,
That's fair.
totally fair. My not buying Lake.
Oh, get out of here.
No, like I'm not delivering mail for a video game.
There's a demo for it, and I can't wait to play it.
Like no.
I-
Somerville is another one. Interesting concept. Definitely not going to get my hands on that one. I'm with you on Far Cry 6. Not going to play Far Cry 6. And then the last one, and this one just every time I see it, I'm just like, what? Why? Death Trash.
What a
It's
name, too. That's like,
yeah,
Death
they're
Trap.
the
like,
whole
let's-
game
I
shuts
don't
me
even
down.
know what you're talking about. For some reason, I can't picture that.
Death
one.
Trash is this kind of isometric. I want to say it's like an isometric RPG shooter,
it's like
post-apocalyptic.
a pixely, like pixel art.
Yeah, like
There is a
maybe-
demo for it on Steam.
maybe like a Fallout type-ish sort
Oh,
of deal.
okay,
Like,
interesting.
really wonky.
Very bizarre looking.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nothing appealed to me in it at all. It was just a very, very weird one. But yeah, my like one that you guys aren't gonna like is Lake. Like I just don't want that as a video game. I really don't. Guardians, I probably won't pick up, to be perfectly honest. That's gonna be another one that I'm not really gonna pick up. You know, there's others, but those are kind of the big ones that stood out to me during the entire conference. That was just kind of like, nah.
Okay.
The other ones too, and I mentioned these are the supernatural with colors to God.
Life is Strange.
Life is Strange. The Life is Strange series. I won't get into those either. They're just not, again, just don't really appeal to me. The super deep story driven games are ones that kind of steer me off. I want to have.
That's okay. That's why I'm here. I know Adam appreciates the odd one every now and then too. We'll cover those ones for sure.
Thank you.
So Luke, do you have any that?
Yeah,
that
to be honest, like the don't for sure buy. It's like the not as high in my list or priority list because it's like I just like tried to forget about those games because it was just it was a little overwhelming, especially like I will say this E3 I took more of a backseat than years previous, and it's not because I wasn't excited, it's just because like my mental health and everything that's going on in personal life, it's like I need to balance things better, and so it's like you know, there was like I'm sure I would have more if I saw more of the announcements, but the ones for sure that I know that I won't buy that I know a lot of people would like is Advance Wars 1+2. I know that people really like these games. I just have absolutely no desire to play a game like this. It's just like the gameplay style of you know, it's I've played several games within a similar genre style, and every time I'm just like bored. So it's like everyone's freaking out because Advance Wars was so good, and it's like that's great. I'm happy for those people, but I just like could care less. And then I'm not gonna play 2 Point Campus because a couple reasons. I tried 2 Point Hospital, and I like those kind of like sim tycoon type games. Like those are the games I like love to play on PC. But that one, for whatever reason, mind you, I did play on Xbox. Maybe if I do mouse and keyboard, that can make a big difference in a game like that.
Yeah.
But Two Point Campus, I think, was shown at every goddamn digital
I think you might be
event.
right. Yeah, it was everywhere.
Yeah, it was everywhere. Like, I swear, we saw it at every single one. Like, and yeah, so it was just like at the end of the week, I was just like, when it popped up, even in like Nintendo's or something, I'm just like, okay, for the love of God, I'm done with Two Point Campus. Like, you guys put a lot of money for your marketing. I'm well aware there's this sequel to your 2 Point series. Great on you, but I'm out. I'm out.
All right. So moving on to the next one. This is our, we maybe need some more info or we're kind of on the fence about it. This is my longest list. Some of these I think I might be ready to put into maybe move down into possibly the not interested category. Some of them I might be ready to move up by this point, but I don't know. Steven, you want to give us a rundown of your list here?
I've got my big three because, there's a ton of announcements. So bear that in mind, while listeners and watchers, there's a lot of announcements that happen over E3. So there's a lot of these that I'm on the fence with, and we'll just see how they come out. And the not buys could very easily get switched in, except for Lake. It's never going to happen. Starfield I'm on the fence with it. I need to see more of what this game is going to be. I know the whole idea is out there that it's going to be Skyrim in space, but in what capacity? Are we on one planet? Are we going to multiple planets? Are we going to have procedurally generated quests? Are we going to have procedurally generated planets? What's the idea that they're going with this Skyrim in space?
Is it
and
that No Man's Sky-esque element?
Right. Is it going to give us that scope?
Yeah,
that No Man's Sky has, then with the great storyline. Well, actually, Skyrim's storyline wasn't really that great, but a good storyline to go along with it. It's going to be a space epic with that openness that you get from No Man's Sky. The other thing is Redfall. I want to see gameplay of this mostly. I like where they're going with it and kind of the aesthetic that they were given with that trailer. And there's the humor built into it and kind of that non-seriousness, and then a different characters with different abilities going up against super powered vampires like this. I'm interested in this, but I need to see what you're planning to do with that gameplay style. Is it going to be like Left 4 Dead? Is it going to be like Division? Where are you going with the shooter genre in this game? And then the other one was during the PC gaming show. It's called Icarus. Icarus is a open world sandbox builder type. So think like Valheim or Skyrim meets Minecraft, kind of that people say that Skyrim meets Minecraft is what Valheim is. This actually looks more into that sort of idea, is that it's a Skyrim meets another one of those Skyrim meets Minecraft sort of things with very intricate building. So it's not kind of cheesy looking furniture that there's some really intricate building that they were putting into this preview of it. And I want to see more of that. Again, how big's the world? How deep are we going into your crafting log? That sort of thing. What do you how big are we making this thing? Is it going to be something that I can basically get and I'm going to be able to go and dump, 2 hours before bed into and continue to do that or something along those lines? But that's another one that's on the fence with it. Biggest being there, Starfield. We need more. That trailer wasn't enough. I'm excited that we got to see it and it was there, but I need to see more of the game. You're not just going to sell me on, it's finally here's Starfield and here's the logo and ship launching. Great. What are you doing with all?
And here's the thing: this is a 2022 game, right? Yeah. We saw a lot of 2022 games that had trailers of gameplay that we could see what these games are. Breath of the Wild included. Nintendo could have probably given us a lot less and still gotten the same amount of hype. But for Starfield, there should have been more. I don't really understand why they had nothing to show for that game if it's coming out next year. But so that was your list.
That was it. Those are my big ones.
So I have a long list. I'm not gonna kind of describe what every game is because I just have so many here. But there are certain ones that I might call out kind of as I run through. But this is what I have: Metal Slug Tactics, Psychonauts 2, Tiny Tina's Wonderlands, Sifu, Shin Megami Tensei 5, Sable, Planet of Lana, Outer Worlds 2, Ollie World, Monster Hunter Stories, Mario Golf Super Rush, Skyward Sword HD. I think I'm actually moving down to a pass at this point. I'm gonna butcher this one, but Eiyuden Chronicles, Eiyuden
Yeah, that
Chronicles.
game looked cool.
That they showed that in Xbox. There's two games coming out. There's Rising and then 100 Heroes. 100 Heroes is the one that I'm like really excited about, but it kind of was like that sort of 2D HD style that we kind of see with like Octopath and
Yeah, that's really
Project Triangle Strategy. It looks really really good. So this is probably going to be a sold on once I see a little bit more for it, but Rising that's next year, and then 100 Heroes, the one that I'm more interested in, isn't going to be out till 23. So we got a bit of a wait on that. Also, Cruise and Blast, Dark Deity, Bear and Breakfast, Atomic Heart, Advance Wars 1 and 2, Mario Rabbids 2. And this is where things start to get a little spicy, I guess, for not being sold on it just yet. Um, did I say Mario Rabbids 2? That one's probably maybe not so spicy. I need to see a little bit more on that. But Riders Republic, which will probably be, especially if we get like that Black Friday or holiday sale, probably end up with that. The other ones though, Halo Infinite, not officially sold on that yet, but I'm still interested. Starfield being the other one, and Elden Ring. So these are all I need to see a little bit more on. I'm not quite sold on any of them yet. I don't know if I'm ready to go drop that. Well, Halo's going to be free, right? Because Game Pass.
Yeah.
So I'll probably end up playing it. Starfield as well. Like I don't have to dish out any extra money for those. So I will probably at least try them, but I'm not if I knew I was going to have to pay the full $70 or whatever for these games, would definitely be more on the fence about it. Elden Ring again, I need to see a little bit more. I need to know that it's going to be that sort of Souls-like game that I can jump into.
Yeah,
what about you, Luke?
Yeah, Elden Ring is also same with me, but for the opposite reason. If it is very Souls-like, then I probably am going to pass, just like I did with Demon Souls and like all the others, because it's like I've given them chances, and it's like just stop, Luke, just stop. And at some point they might, like Sekiro, when that was announced, I thought maybe. And I never tried it out, but so yeah, Elden Ring for the exact same reason as you gave. And then yeah, for like the Xbox games, those are like, they're not necessarily it's true, there's the investment you have to make, considering we have subscribed to Game Pass, is just like clicking download and actually setting aside some time to check it out. So these are games that, yeah, I'm probably going to download because they're on Game Pass, but like just seeing them, like they're not like the games that I'm like, oh my gosh, this looks like to die for. So Redfall also on my list as one of those games from Game Pass.
I should have mentioned, I didn't have it on my list, but yeah, that's one of those. Yep.
Yeah. And then repeating you, the how Eiyuden Chronicle 100 Heroes looks really cool. That was like an announcement that was like made me kind of turn my head. A Plague Tale Requiem. I played a bit of A Plague Tale, and my sister actually, when she's lived overseas for the most of my adult life, but she's back home, and she got an Xbox and she got Game Pass, and she tried out A Plague Tale, and she was just like raving about how fun it was. And I tried it out, and it was really like visually like quite impressive, because I just got my 1X. So I want to like maybe try that series out, because I think that game, like that trailer with like all the rats like swarming in, like I remember seeing like that first game and being like, oh my gosh, it's like a sea of rats. Like they're still like, I don't know, like it looks like a really cool game, and that's going to turn into like a franchise, hopefully. They have their audience there. So Psychonauts 2 is also a game that I am interested in playing. Never played the first one, but I really like it's a 3D platform, looks fun, really cool like visuals and environments that you're going to be playing around with. And me just having general stoner energy too, I'm always down for anything with the word psychonaut in it. So yeah, that's pretty much a lot of Xbox ones there. But oh sorry, and then the last Xbox one was Stalker 2. Don't know what Stalker 1 is, don't know this, but like this trailer, it's an FPS in Chernobyl, and it's this kind of why am I blanking on the word? Post-apocalyptic kind of world, and it looks really cool, like visually. I was watching a stream and impressed with it. I went back and watched like a 4K trailer. I'm just like, man, I cannot wait to install, like, you know what? This was, now I'm talking about like, this is probably more one that I'm gonna install day one and check out, because it looks really impressive. And then yeah, Starfield still need a little more information on. And then what was the Wizard with a Gun was one that looked interesting. And then the last one, Metroid Dread, just because I don't know Metroid. I've never played Metroid at all, like no Metroid experience at all.
So the good news is that they did mention that in the beginning of the game, they are going to give, I think, a synopsis of the story thus far.
Okay,
So they're
that's all I
going
need.
to, yeah, they're going to give you the lore that you need to understand what's happening in this game, because it is a continuation of story that's taken place over previous games. So Prime, I think, is its own
Yeah.
arc. It's not going to, I don't think it fits in the timeline, but it's going to be all of the previous 2D Metroid games.
Right.
It'll kind of give you that lore.
Yeah, I saw a graphic on Twitter that someone made of the previous games, and it was like, here's everywhere you can play. And the first one was like Game Boy Advance or Wii U Virtual Console, and then this it was like the one on 3DS. It's
Fusion.
like and it was just, the one on 3DS. It was like, on 3DS, you have to have a 3DS if you want to play. So it's like, it would be great if they could somehow get those, but I'm more concerned about that with like Metroid Prime as opposed to these 2D, because like the Prime seems more up my alley anyways in terms of gameplay. But if they can just give me that recap of like what I'm missing, especially if this is the ending to her story and everything like that, like that's, you know, I want to make sure that I'm aware of what's gone on with everything that happened to prior to this. So yeah, but if you know, like as more I learn about it, I don't know, it's just like it may, and I say maybe when it goes on sale, but it's a Nintendo game, so it probably won't.
It'll
So
never go on sale.
that's kind of why it's like I'm not rushing out to buy it, because I you know, it's not one of my franchises, but I'm like hype as hell for someone like you, Adam, that's like, that this is your franchise, right? Like this is awesome. And just hearing the story of like, sorry, I know I'm going a little long-winded here, but like that 15 years later, like this game got
right,
like that, just like the story, and like seeing people's reactions on the internet, like this announcement coming out of E3 was the funnest to like, so I'm excited for all those reasons, but for myself, like that's where it fits.
And I have to say, I love the sort of design change that they gave Samus. Like she's not in her traditional power suit or whatever. Like I love the color of it. I love the look of it. I think she looks great. I like that they're sort of stepping outside the box. And again, like you said, Steven, like, and I had said before, is that I like that it's not the standard format. It's not, okay, I'm in this area and I get morph ball as my first item and I get bombs as my second item. These will come in later, because we saw from the gameplay, when you start off, you're not. And again, I'm sure it's not going to be real far into the game by the time that we get them, but it is forcing you to do things and evade the enemies and stuff like that without the use of, you know, your staple items. So I think that's really cool that there's a lot of things that they're sort of getting away from the usual trends, but still keeping that core Metroid gameplay intact. So,
which is so important with like reviving a series like that, is like respecting the past. Like that is just like literally, that's all you have to nail, is like modernize it to a point where like it matches up to what players' expectations are, but also like making sure that you're not doing something so changed that you're gonna like piss off this fan base that you've created over the last couple decades. So
I think the only way that they'll do that is if they somehow add Ridley into this game too. I think.
oh, I'm sure they will.
Based off of all of the memes that are appearing, is the question is, how are they going to add Ridley back into this, because he's died what 3 times now?
Oh, more than that. Like he died.
Oh,
He's in
gosh.
every game and he dies in every one of them. Yeah, I mean, Kraid was in 2 of them at least, and then Ridley is in, I think, literally every single one of them, or well, except for 2. but yeah, Ridley is in pretty much all of them, whether it's just himself or it's a mecha version of him. Yeah, Ridley's always there. So I'm sure they'll find a way to shoehorn him into the game.
Yeah.
Anyway, Steven, what are you totally sold on? What are you getting 100%?
This list is long, thanks to Xbox, primarily because of Game Pass. But I mentioned Halo Infinite before. That's definitely going to get bought. Battlefield 2042, Diablo 2 Resurrected. I'm probably going to be getting replaced. Age of Empires 4. Definitely getting those ones. From the PC show, Humankind and War Tales. Definitely going to get those games. Final Fantasy 1 through 6 Pixel Remaster. Definitely going to get those. And this is purely because of what you had mentioned about the game, but Stranger of Paradise, I'm going to be picking up that one. I don't even need the demo at this point anymore. The gameplay sounds like everything sounds like it's solid, and I'm ready to. I was on the fence with it from the trailer, but everything that's coming around from a lot of people that I respect within the industry, I'm down. I'm totally going to end up getting it. And then Demon Throttle, if I can get my hands on it, because I know it's kind of limited, but maybe wait for digital, something along those lines. Wizard with a Gun, and then I'll end with kind of that one. I almost want to call it my star of the show, the one that throughout the entire course of the presentations during E3, the one that always constantly stood out to me throughout the entire thing, and I just can't wait to get my hands on, is the Trek of Yomi. The look of it feels, I love the black and white, just looks amazing in that. Pure samurai goodness. Like I said, it's kind of what I wanted Ghost of Tsushima to be, I think, and I'm really excited to get my hands on this and go through the story and, live a Kurosawa samurai movie through a video game. I can't wait. That's the one that's really standing out to me.
Yeah, and I mean that just goes to show. I know you said Devolver was the big winner for you, and pretty much all of their games were there in your sold on list. So yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, big indie year for me this year. They had great showing from the indie companies, and I've said it in the past that it's great, and we should almost not even count them as or tag them as indies. They should be just considered within the overall gaming conversation. This E3 proved that, like, they were out there with the big uns and putting up great shows and dropping a whole lot of games and showing gameplay and trailers. Like they looked like pros, AAA studios doing this gig this year, and it was amazing. And they caught me with a bunch of them. Like I couldn't stop wanting these small publishers to make games. It was good. Yeah. It was so good.
Yeah, most of those I think I would probably put on my on the fence. But yeah, they all looked really good. So I think for me, the ones that I'm definitely sold on, WarioWare Get It Together, 12 Minutes, Moonglow Bay, Lake.
Hell yeah.
Mario Party Superstars, Garden Story. So again, tons of indies in there. Back for Blood, Replaced, Breath of the Wild 2, Metroid Dread, Forza Horizon 5 looks absolutely phenomenal. Oh, I can't wait to play that. And then the last one I want to mention. So this is one that was on Day of the Devs, and Steven, I had a hard time kind of understanding why you would put a game that wasn't fully released as your almost game of the year. But damn it, this one is it's gonna push for my almost get. Now, granted, Metroid Dread's coming out, so it's probably not gonna make game of the year. But Unbeatable, god damn, it's so good. I can't talk enough about that game. There's a playable demo. It's called Unbeatable White Label. It's on Steam, but it's a rhythm game at its core. But there's also it's sort of like an anime. It's telling a story between these rhythm game sections, and it seems like a really interesting story. Music is a crime, and you're a band, and you're going and you're playing these underground shows, so you're avoiding the law. They're coming after you, and in a very anime way. From what it looks like in the trailer, you get a little bit of story introduction within that demo. but it's not even scratching the surface of what the game is going to be. But they give you 12 tracks that you can play, so you get a pretty substantial list of tracks that you can play, and they are all so good. The soundtrack is already blowing my mind, and it's to the point where like I think about those songs daily, and it's like I just want to listen to these songs. Unfortunately, they're not on Spotify, but you can hear them on YouTube if you don't like if you're not playing the game and you want to listen to them outside the game. But the gameplay is extremely fun. It's simple. You have two buttons. Basically you have these monster notes, right, for like the music that come into screen, and you press the corresponding button to bash them off of the screen. And there's several difficulties. There's, I think, beginner, which is like super simple, easy, normal, hard, and then unbeatable. And I was playing this on stream the other day, and I was like, okay, you know what? I'm going to play through these on hard mode. And, and then I started dabbling in I got through them all on hard mode with pretty successfully, I would say. And then I'm like, you know what? I'm going to start playing through these on unbeatable. And I got through one of the songs pretty quickly, and I was super proud of myself. I'm like, well, this is going to be just fine. And then like all the other songs kicked my ass. And then when was it? I think it was last Friday or something. I was playing it. I was streaming it to Discord, and I know, Luke, you came in and you watched me for a little bit, and I was playing these songs on unbeatable again. And it's just like, I'm going to play them until I beat these songs on this difficulty. And I have now gotten through, there's 12 songs. I've probably gotten through at least 8. I'd say there's no more than 4 tracks left that I need to beat. Might only be down to 3 at this point. So I'm beating them. Granted, I'm coming away with like C's and B's, so I'm not getting like the A grade or the S grade or anything like that. I will say it's very hard to grade, because if you're not hitting perfect or great, I think it counts against you and your accuracy at the end, so I think my performance, I think, is better than the grade that I'm actually getting, which is fine. I'm just happy that I'm beating these tracks. But yeah, I find the difficulty of it extremely fun to where I actually prefer those harder the harder difficulties for the songs. But again, those songs just they're living rent free in my brain every single day. And again, this is just a demo. I don't know when the full game's coming out. They say it's going to be episodic, so I don't know when the first episode's coming out or whatever. But this, like I said, in the demo state, like I was almost ready to have this go as my game of the year at the end of the year. But we got back half of the year is just going to be insane. So it may not stay in that position just because of some of the hype, like Metroid Dread. But damn it, it's probably going to be probably top 5, depending on how some of these games shake out. But so that's what I had. I did want to gush about that. Luke, what are you sold on?
So the ones that I am for sure getting, Lake. And you know what I thought would be fun, Adam?
I don't understand. One day you're both gonna have to explain to me what the appeal is of delivering.
It's not the actual process of the mail delivery that's attractive. What's attractive is like the atmosphere and environment of this small town, and like having like it's appealing to like
chill vibes.
Yeah, like this very laid back gameplay that is just like a narrative experience that's kind of interactive. That's all it is. It's not like I play him for cutting edge gameplay like you're talking about with Unbeatable, Adam, where you need to like have the reaction time to do things. It's just like I just want to get stoned and put on something that I don't have to pay attention to or something, you know. But
got it.
No, Lake looks cool, and there is a demo, and I think it would be fun if at some point, Adam, we get like our 12-hour stream, when we ever plan to do one of those again. We will do one, and we make that an incentive that we get Steven to play Lake on stream, whether it's the demo that's on Steam, and that will be so great because he'll just like mock the crap out of the game, probably.
so
and it
For
here's
was-
the
charity,
thing.
I will, but I will annihilate that game. I will annihilate it.
I don't know. Who know? It could change.
you
could
could,
change your
yeah,
perspective.
you could.
So here's the thing. Make sure you
Opening the
download it
mailbox,
now.
putting litter-
Make sure you have it installed just in case after this next fest thing is done. I don't know if the demos get pulled. at
Yeah,
all.
that is a good point because they
So
think
it might
last
be-
year they were timed.
Yeah. So make sure you have it downloaded and then it'll be ready for
Yeah.
that.
So yeah, Lake, WarioWare. I've never played WarioWare, and I've always wanted to.
games.
Like they look like so much fun. Like I'm
Oh,
always
yeah.
looking for like mini game experiences, like to play with Meg or like if friends come over. Like, so yeah, just like having the access to a new one. That's one. Somerville. Looks really cool. Like gave me vibes of Inside, and I loved Inside. So that I'm definitely gonna download Game Pass. Age of Empires 4 I already said. Far Cry 6 I'm gonna pick up. I will say though, like as like I just kind of want to like play it. Like I feel like the way they've shown the game, like in some, like it's gotten me excited, and then there's other things I'm like I don't know about this. So like I just want to like get in and play it because I've had that opinion with like Far Cry 5 with Montana, and like I kind of was like turned off of it. But then I played it and I really enjoyed it. So like I just want to jump into that. Demon Throttle I'm gonna try to pick up physically. Breath of the Wild 2, which I wish we could have talked about more on the show tonight, but I'm sure we'll talk about more. Moonglow Bay, Garden Story is also one of mine. Forza Horizon 5, love 4, love 3,
Yeah.
love 2. So I'm like I'm already invested in this franchise. So like the setting and everything looks incredible. I was a little like curious because like they announced Forza Motorsport last year saying in development for the X, and they didn't mention, and Playground Games is making Fable. So I was like questioning, will we get a Horizon this year or will it be Motorsport? And I thought it was going to be
Yeah.
Motorsport. So the fact that Motorsport is still in the works and coming later is great for those that like that, and I'm hyped that I'm going to be able to play, Horizon, arguably in my opinion the funner of the two in
Oh,
the,
yeah,
the
for
series,
sure.
like this open world
And
game
now they got
that's
these
just-
like crazy looking party games in there too.
It's-
Like you're in there
yeah, it's
knocking over
like-
bowling pins and like
it's like
doing
the Grand Theft
acrobatic
Auto
stuff.
5 like
Yeah.
racing treatment, right? All those like
Yeah.
mini games, and they like that's so smart because like people like go crazy over like the racing modes in GTA 5 because they're silly and fun. Why not put that in that? They've already done some like crazy things with Hot Wheels and Lego and some battle royale modes. Like I like that they're creating Forza into like more of like this like kind of like racing like universe that they can then like they can branch off of with different game modes under this Horizon belt. So yeah, really excited for that one. Stalker 2 I already mentioned, I bumped up to one that I want to play, and then one that's kind of probably a surprise to some people is the Super Monkey Ball Banana Mania
Oh,
collection.
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, that's totally what I don't have it on my list, but yeah, for
Yeah.
sure. I want to get that. Yep.
Yeah, because it includes like there was a new one I believe that just came out on Switch recently. I never had Super Monkey Ball games. I got introduced to them
Same.
through a friend,
Mhm.
and they brought their GameCube over and we played them, and I was like, these are so much fun. And like this has like multiple games to it, so whenever there's a package, yeah, if it's $80, sure, because I'm getting like hours and hours and hours, like tons of courses. This is gonna be something that like my friend comes over again and we just like chill out and just like pass the controller back and forth, taking run through courses. So yeah, really excited for that one as well. And then Mario Golf next month, really hyped to be able to play that one for sure.
It's gonna be a good one. It's gonna
Yeah.
be a lot of fun.
And Halo Infinite. I don't know why I blanked on that. It's just like the Game Pass ones are just like an
There's so
obvious.
many. There's so
Yeah,
many.
like I'm gonna check them out. Like I said, I've already bought them in a sense. So
Because obviously I'm getting golf. I'm gonna get Metroid Dread, but they're not on my list. Like there's still a whole pile of other games. out
yeah,
there that-
like yeah.
so.
There's so like that's the thing, guys. Is like this
Here's
has
a
been
couple of the things that we don't like, a couple of the things that we're
Yeah.
still thinking about, and a couple of things that we want to buy.
Exactly. Like we wish like this show would probably be 5 hours long if we could break down and show you the games that really spoke to us.
Mhm.
Yep.
Because yeah,
Easy.
there were so many that would look
Yep.
awesome, like the
Yeah.
whole wholesome direct, basically,
Yeah. Or for
That's
me, the
or
Freedom Games.
Devolver, yeah,
that's
Freedom
why this
Games, yeah,
this whole idea that E3 is dead, like no, like this was one of the most packed shows that we've seen from an E3 in a long time, and we haven't even gotten back onto show floors yet. Like I'm so ready for next year now. Like I'm so hyped up and ready to go for it because all those ones from our predictions that I think we're still getting to, like they should be there next year, right?
Yeah.
yeah, right.
So and for those people that are thinking E3 is dead because Ubisoft wasn't a smash hit, or Square Enix wasn't a smash hit, or Gearbox wasn't a smash, or Capcom, like they did the best they could with what they had that they were ready to show. And sure, we hope
It's
that it
also
was more,
not
but
on
that's not
E3.
it's I was just going to say,
Yeah,
it's not
Mm-hmm.
E3's
It's a
fault
normal E3.
that
yeah,
those shows didn't live up to the
yeah.
expectations. It's up to the publisher to be able to deliver. They ultimately paid a
Mhm.
price to have their showcase
Yeah,
there,
E3 is
and
the
it's
curation and the pre-shows and the interviews on the
exactly
side. Like the
it's
people that come, judge those companies if you want. Don't like have
yeah,
your
Right.
pitchforks just because that's the big name across the entire board.
it's because of E3 that we get all this news consolidated into one week instead of having it
Summer
strewn
Game
across the
Mess.
entire summer like we had that mess last year. So yeah,
Exactly.
E3, I think as of right now, is still very important. I know Jeff Keighley is trying to rival it, and I think the two can exist at least for now.
They can. And I had mentioned this before because my big question going into this and with Game Fest is, and I tried to ask Jeff this, what are you gonna have different at Game Fest that's not gonna be at E3? What's gonna set you apart? And I think what he showed that's gonna set him apart is that he is going to be putting a lot of games on our radar that typically wasn't there before. He had a great small publisher, small developer
Mhm.
showcase. And then he's able to go to people like Kojima or get Elden Ring brought in. He's going to have those moments where he's going to pull things in that E3 typically might not be able to. And he's going to be able to do it. I think he's got a platform that's going to survive and be able to coexist with E3, and E3 is just going to keep on doing its thing. It's going to have some evolutions that it's going to go through and changes, especially with like things that we learned from this digital, but also the fact that we do need a physical presence for an E3 for a conference like this because it just works for different things a lot better. I think that we're in for great summers from here on out with Game Fest and E3 both being there with us. And then maybe one day, maybe Sony will be like, you know what, I should probably be there again. EA will probably be like, you know what, I should probably, maybe this is like, maybe it's going to happen. Or at least they'll consolidate themselves to be back with the pack, like just what just happened this past week.
Yep.
Everybody's got learning to do right now,
Yeah,
and that was seen. And now, like I said, it just gets me much more pumped up for next year because I think it's going to come back to this like glorious, again, just a glorious week of celebrating gaming through.
Mhm.
Is it going to be 3 or 4 shows, or is it going to be 2 shows,
Yeah.
Game Fest and E3? So what are we looking at for next year? That's going to be the fun part.
Right. So Luke, do we where are we at on time? Do we have time to run through predictions and question of the week, or
Yeah, I think what we'll do is let's just run through predictions, question of the week, and then we'll wrap it up from there. And then I think we'll save next week. I think what we'll do for you guys is next week we're gonna be back to Twitch. That's the plan. We had to take a little bit of a break, just because of like some scheduling stuff and like E3 coverage. It's just like made sense to do. We're gonna return to that next week, and I really want to do. I'm kind of telling this to you guys for the first time too, but next week I think it would be fun to like catch everyone up on like just game talk. You know what I mean? Like get in and talk about Ratchet and Clank. Like we haven't even been able to talk about that yet. Like I feel like there's been like some big yeah, like even some of the demos, like I love to talk about a musical story more. Demo I played that, sorry, another sold game that I'm checking out. But so next week I want to do that. So yeah, let's just do the predictions. We can tally up who got the most right. We'll hear from you guys. Issue the next question. Sounds good.
all right. So so starting off with Luke's predictions, you had that nothing was going to be shown for Beyond Good and Evil 2, and you were correct. So you got a point there.
Hell yeah.
You you had Halo launches in October alongside a special edition series. We didn't get confirmation of
Yeah.
October. We didn't get any confirmation about a new
So
like a
pending.
special-
It is pending because there is a chance, September rolls around and they're like, Master Chief comes on and on the
Yeah.
Xbox Series X could happen,
Oh, we
So-
can't give points based off of could happen, right?
That's-
Well, all I'm
fair.
saying at
That's
the end of the
fair.
year,
This
at
is
the end
Talking
of the
about
year,
E3.
This is the prediction for E3
is fair.
specifically. So yeah, I think I'm kind of on Steven's side here.
no, it's fair. That's fair.
Do we give a half point that you
know,
predicted there would be
I
Halo
said-
at least?
I said a date. They didn't give a date, so I wouldn't give me the point. I'm gonna be harsh.
All right. Well, you're kind of messing up my points then with that logic, but so Starfield you said would be 2022, and so that was good. So
You
you
got
got
it, yeah.
the second point there. Project Mara shows itself. We did not see any of
No.
that, so no point. Final Fantasy 16 Spring 22, we didn't get that. So yeah, you're ending here with 2 points.
And before you move on, Adam, I want to add one little antidote to my predictions to just rewind 2 years ago when you and I had our second show together and I did my 2019 predictions. And I said things like Halo Infinite gameplay trailer. I said Dead Rising reimagining of the series. And if you caught the prediction episode last week, I said that exact same thing.
You did.
Didn't even realize it. I said trailer for Starfield. I said new Splinter Cell game announced. Ubisoft announced a new collaboration game with Nintendo. So again, Rabbids. And
So
that's
really,
basically it. But I'm just
COVID
saying, like,
back.
I just basically repeat the same thing year after year, and you guys just continue to listen for some reason. So I appreciate that.
You're in addition to that, your Dr. Pepper power up point moment of the game was a 3D collection of Zelda games, which we did not get. And you would have pooped your pants if Jack and Daxter got a reboot,
Which
or-
obviously PlayStation wasn't even there, but
or if Naughty Dog showed up with a Marvel Wolverine, which
yeah.
again PlayStation wasn't there. So, is your best in show? Is it still Xbox Bethesda? Would you still?
My best in show, yeah, it is. I gotta give it to them. They just like nailed it in pacing. I think they spent time on some games that they needed to. They showed a lot of games quantity wise. Just like, again, the one conference that I watched, knowing in the back of my mind, knowing I can play anything I want if I am interested in it, which is really awesome as a consumer. Whereas like Nintendo, I'm just like getting anxiety about the fall and like Mario Party and WarioWare and Metroid. And it's like, oh gosh. So yeah, I
So
give it to Xbox.
So for me, I did say we would get Starfield there. I did tried to be a little spicy and said that it was going to come out this year. So I guess I don't get any points for that, but it's okay. Even though I predicted Starfield would be there.
No points. You said 2021. It was in the prediction. The prediction is
All right,
false.
all right. So I also said we would get a new IP with wide audience appeal from Xbox
Yeah,
Bethesda.
you
and I
should
think we
be
got that.
glad that
I
we
think
gave
we
you
did.
that one because that is a very broad prediction that we allowed you.
It's
to have.
very general, very broad, but I think Redfall
But you have
fall
to
into
be
that
when it comes to new IPs though.
Yes,
Like you can't
it
really
is- yeah.
you don't know what's coming. So
I
I would say Redfall is that one. Redfall's got
I would-
a lot
yeah.
of appeal out there.
yeah, I think if it wasn't for Redfall, that I don't think there would have been anything brand new there, right?
like
That-
maybe like Somerville. Like I know it
Mm.
wasn't for everybody, but that I did see a lot of people on my timeline or Twitter feed like talking about it. But
I think we can take it generally just based off of how we talked about Redfall today, being at the
Yeah.
Xbox conference like that.
that would apply.
All of us are looking at that
Yeah.
game. We are
That's a
very
point.
interested in it. It's appealing to every single one of us. Lake's not, Somerville's not. That's I think it's got the appeal, the wide appeal that we were looking for from that prediction. I'm okay. I'm
Yeah.
okay with taking give me
So
Yeah, for
number
sure.
3 was all Final Fantasy titles in works are shown, and kind of it was in a sizzle trailer, but they were all there, right?
What do we think, Steven?
I'm going with a big fat no on this one because I
Yeah.
know it was like 7 remake part
Yeah,
2
part
was
2.
involved
They
and
did say that, yeah.
16 like
Yeah.
I think
Maybe a
I
little
think
more now.
maybe if I hadn't specified
Well, now we know
remake
for
part 2, I
whatever our
think it
next
would have.
prediction episode, if we do one for PlayStation, we got it's verbatim. We got like we'll be held
yeah,
to
we got to get
like if you give a
specific.
specific date, like you get it wrong. Sorry, man, you're out.
Yeah.
You're out.
New 2D Metroid, which did come around, and
Crazy.
damn it again with the release date. I got to stop doing these. I did say Breath of the Wild 2 trailer gameplay, which I guess there wasn't really a deep dive gameplay, although we did see actual gameplay. It wasn't just like it wasn't like a teaser or something like that. But
Yep.
my Pepper power up point play of the game was a new 3D Mario game, which did not come to fruition. I would have pooped my pants if we got a Chrono Series entry or F-Zero GTA type. Dang it, Nintendo, make that a thing. I said best in show would be Nintendo, and I think for me, best of show was Nintendo. And not just for Metroid, which that was a big part of it, but I think there was so many
Yeah.
great games that
Big
showed up in there. Like
surprises.
basically the entire showcase I want. So and again it was the pacing was good, the titles were good, there was quality and quantity there. I think they knocked it out of the park, and they showed us they mentioned the big title in Prime 4, they let us know it's still being worked on, and they gave us something for Breath of the Wild 2, even though it's not quite ready yet. So for me, I think that still holds true with Nintendo. For Steven, your safe prediction of Beyond Good and Evil 2 shows back up, and we get a release date. So safe.
Yeah.
We should have had it. It should have happened. Ubisoft. It should
They
have.
didn't even acknowledge it. They didn't
even acknowledge.
I
it.
told
They
you
didn't
guys,
even-
I'm like they're not even gonna like pretend it exists. Like,
But if
yeah.
you take if you take the same logic as Elden Ring,
Yeah.
Ring, it was announced in 2019. Work was being done on it. It should have made.
I think the difference is like Beyond Good and Evil. Like me and Adam were telling last time. There have been like trickles of stories about that game that have come out since it like we last saw it. That have like been. I think that game is like
was that production's going well with it. That was the most recent stories.
Yeah, I know,
Production's
but
going
like
well with the game.
there was those shakeups, I think it just shifts everything further and further back. And I think like from where they started with the announcement of like their expectation of like when this could be is now drastically different because of those early shakeups. I think like they're definitely on the right track. We're definitely going to see this game at some point. I don't think it's like vaporware or anything like that,
Right,
but
yeah.
it is I think it's further out than maybe we initially anticipated. Like same thing with like Metroid Prime 4, right? Like you're thinking, oh, a couple years, but then all these little development issues happen. Now it's on track. Now we're probably good, but that delayed it for those 2-3 years. We just are a waste now because of everything that happened. So yeah, anyways, but it sucks for those fans too, because I know that like they were so hype when that game got announced, so hype, and now they just must be crushed every Ubisoft presentation. Like
for sure.
It's our new Elden Ring now, so it's just been replaced.
It's the
Just
new one
Beyond
for
Good and
sure.
Evil 2? Is
Yeah.
it? Is it? I don't even want the game. I don't even care. I just want to see it. That's it. Yeah.
So moving on, you also predicted Elder Scrolls 6 would get a title, trailer, gameplay, and release.
This was
So I
wild.
feel
That was
like
my
I'm-
spicy.
Yeah, that
I
was
feel like
spicy.
I feel like I'm normally the pie in the sky guy, but like, dang, yours were super pie in the sky.
Yeah, I
here.
was like Steven dropping
That
those out
one
last
was.
week.
That was a big spicy one. But again, 2018, 2019 announcement. I thought for sure that maybe we'd get at least the title and a trailer, but we didn't even get that.
No.
That was nuts.
Mhm.
But I get it. They've got other things to worry about.
You did have Halo Infinite comes this fall. I'll give you that one. I know
Yep.
they said holiday, but if you think about it, fall runs until December 21st. I think it's out before December 21st. So
Oh yeah,
I think that
so.
one is I think that one's a
I
go.
wonder why they didn't give it
Give
a
'em
release
one.
date though. Like for something that is supposed like is months away, supposedly.
Yeah,
Why would they not have that announced? And is that, you know what? I think it may not happen
could
at
be that
E3.
special
Could be that
edition.
special edition, right? Of like,
Yeah,
why would they not announce that? Maybe it's because there is special editions, Series
Yeah.
S, X,
could
something.
be.
They're gonna launch something along it.
Yep. Let's see. You had Final Fantasy 16 trailer and release date. We did not see that. And Metroid Prime Collection. We also did not see that. Where the hell is this Prime Collection?
Where is it?
I think speculation that who was it? Someone I heard
Well, I
probably
know my thinking on it was that they're gonna wait until Metroid Prime is
Yeah.
within a year of release date.
Yeah.
That's still my speculation on it. Is that they're if once we get that, even if we don't get Prime 4 news, I'm saying
Yeah.
it like if we get a Prime collection, Prime 4 is gonna come out that following
Yeah,
year.
they're holding. I feel like they're like just like I feel like maybe my hope is that game is like just done and baked to perfection, and like they're just waiting for whenever 4 can like have some sort of press release and some more information given out there, and then they pair it with that, and they're just like Nintendo slam and dunking like they always do, right? Like they'll pull that out there, like they know. But then again, it's also the other side of your head tells you it's like, but it's Nintendo. They won't do that. That's what you
Yeah.
think they're gonna do, so they're not gonna do
Yep.
it, and it's just
Right.
yeah,
Now, the really interesting thing that happened during their direct and is for Zelda, they specifically said that they're not doing anything special for the anniversary besides the little handheld game.
yeah,
They did not say the same thing about Metroid
It's
in the
true.
presentation. So I still think that there's something in the works for the anniversary of Metroid. I'm hoping it's the Prime collection, and maybe we see like once we get out of this, okay, Metroid Dread is here because they want everybody to get into the new one, right? Metroid Dread is here. We kind of get through another direct where they're going to have that in our face, and then maybe like the direct following the next one, that might be where we see the Prime collection show up.
Mhm.
You know,
and like a
it's
Breath of the Wild, like yeah, that would be good. As like yeah, having like I know that it's a different franchise, but like a Prime trilogy, and then you have your Breath of the Wild for 2022, and maybe that meets Prime 2023 or something like that,
Right.
right? Like that would be ideal for Nintendo.
where we end up seeing Prime 4 as their major
Yeah,
Nintendo E3 Direct next year. And then like we kind of have Breath of the Wild and Metroid Prime Collection maybe. That's the only thing I could see is that you're sitting with Metroid Dread right now. We're not going to automatically bring out Metroid
Yeah,
Prime Collection. I
yeah.
feel like
Right.
that shaves off what you're hoping people are going to do with Metroid
Yeah.
Dread. You want that
Yeah.
to be the thing. So yeah, that's kind of what my thinking is that maybe not next direct, but the direct following. Maybe that shows up then. Possibly. Hopefully. I
Yep.
need it. I want a Prime collection. I do.
So you're moving on. Your Dr. Pepper power up point was Snap and or Sword and Shield getting new DLC, which did not happen
No
here.
Pokemon,
No,
No Pokemon stuff.
no Pokemon
Yeah,
at all.
crazy.
not even
in the treehouse.
remakes. Yeah,
You came close to having to change your pants because
Yeah.
you would have pooped your pants if some Golden Age SNES RPGs arrived on Switch, which you almost got a bunch of them
It's
in the
conspiracy.
Final Fantasy Pixel remaster.
Yeah, it's a conspiracy. They knew that I made this prediction, and so for the Final Fantasy 1 through 6 pixel remasters, the reason everybody that you're not getting them on consoles is because I made this prediction last week.
way to go.
So you're welcome. I wrecked everything.
And I guess your best in show is no longer Xbox Bethesda. Devolver
No, it
pulled
was-
it away.
Yeah, it was a great show, but Devolver just
much fun.
was absolutely amazing, very
Yeah.
memorable, and tons of games coming out of that where I'm gonna be okay spending money with them. With Xbox, it's a ton of games that I'm like super okay that I'm not spending, but I will spend my hard-earned dollars on those titles that were shown during Devolver. Yeah.
All right, Luke, do you want to do question of the week and
Sure. wrap it up?
Send us off.
Yeah, sounds good. So our master of questions, Nishan, says, "Good evening, everyone. Now that E3 has wrapped up, let's reissue the question of the week. What was your favorite part of E3 2021, and who do you think won? Let the Gaff boys know below." And James Halliday, aka BLP Entertainment, simply just posts a Metroid GIF and says, "I don't think anyone is surprised if I say Metroid Dread was the best news for me. I would easily say Nintendo did it for me, but I feel that's based on only 2 trailers. Honestly, I didn't feel that blown away by any single presentation. Elden Ring, Metroid Prime, Psychonauts 2 were some of my favorites." Nishan says Metroid Dread and Breath of the Wild 2 footage were top tier. Xbox dunking on everyone with Game Pass. Adam will understand the Freedom Games showcase was Chef's Kiss, which you definitely mentioned.
Yep.
And even though it overstayed its welcome, I want to get my hands on Guardians of the Galaxy. As for a winner, obviously, us after 2020 Raw. Oh, I see what he's saying.
We
Okay,
won.
yeah. As for a winner, obviously us. After 2020 robbed us of solid news and game development, it looks like the back half of 21 and 2022 will be an amazing time to be a gamer, which is totally true. And then Mad Hatter 1138 says Metroid fans won this year's E3, which is, yeah, just repeating everything we've already mentioned on the show today. So thank you guys for responding to that. And then the question I wanted to ask everyone this week was, do you think a Switch Pro will release in 2021? Or when do you think a Switch Pro will release? So leading up to this thing, guys, we were talking about the Switch Pro and the rumors that were going on there, and will it show up before? Like, that was a big discussion point in our prediction episode just was not obviously something we even talked about tonight. So yeah, we'll save it for the last bit of discussion on next week's episode, and we can give our thoughts. So yeah, make sure you answer on the Discord where Nishan posts it. You can join by going to invite.gg/gamesareFun. Answer it, and we will read your answers on next week's episode. Perfect. And yeah, so you also want me to wrap it up here too, Steven or Adam?
Sure. Yeah.
Okay, I can close it out if you want. So yeah, that's gonna conclude this episode of Games Are Fun, everyone. It was a lot of fun talking about E3 with you guys on the Discord. You know, getting to do that predictions episode with you guys, Steve and Adam, was a lot of fun. Just like that's like the best part, in my opinion. It's like because when E3 is done, or even when it's the games, the announcements are really hype, and you're so caught up in that like. Sometimes like the best moments were the lead up to the events and talking and giving these predictions, and then you get to have fun on the other side of like afterwards and just like talking about all the things you love. So it was like these last 2 episodes were a lot of fun. It was a lot of fun recording them, and like I said, talking about them on the Discord, doing the watch along. So please, if you haven't, join that, invite.gg/gamesarefun. And yeah, so that's all I got. Steven, where can people find you?
Twitch, Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok at Lordly King S.
Awesome. Adam?
Easy peasy.
And I am on Twitch, Twitter, and Instagram at AdamPalooza85.
Awesome. And I am on Twitter and Instagram at Luke Allen Arm, and twitch.tv/Luke the Llama. I think I'm going to stream next week. I think I'm going to make my return after having maybe a month off, I think. I'm going to come back. So I think we're going to keep it casual. We'll find something cozy to play or something like that. Next week, twitch.tv/GamesAreFun podcast, probably our typical Thursday, 6:30 p.m. Mountain. We're going to do another episode. Not in stone. That could change, but we are going to hope next week's episode to be a live stream. And yeah, we're just going to do a catch-up episode. Talk about things that maybe we missed on this episode. I think the two of you might maybe want to talk a little, like I want to talk about Breath of the Wild 2 a little bit more.
Yeah.
Because there's like
I would love to dive into it.
a lot of like, just we could even do a trailer rewatch and just kind of like pull parts of that trailer, because like I know there's a lot of speculation that most of you have already seen on the internet, but like I want to give my 2 cents, because that's like a very anticipated game here at Games Are Fun. So and then I don't know about you, Adam. I'm throwing this in the moment too at you live here on the show, but you know, like me and him are playing Ratchet and Clank, so that is something that we might do a review on. We're going to talk a little bit about that if we want to make some extra content out it. I will say right now, I know Adam, you've had like we haven't talked about it a whole lot, but I'm saying right now that Ratchet and Clank is like game of the year contender for me. I'm loving it so much, more than I expected, way more than I expected, way more than 2016. Like I'm shocked on how much I'm liking it. So yeah, we'll talk about that next week. A
I
little
mean,
bit
I
more.
can say definitively it's not going to be my game of the year,
Yeah.
but I am enjoying it. But yeah, I do have some things that I already know isn't going to be game of the year. Maybe, you know, top 5, top 10, sure, but
Yeah,
I definitely have other things in mind that I've already played
yeah.
that would rank higher.
It's my contender right now. I haven't played like Village was like my most anticipated game of the year for if you asked me at the beginning, and this is like blows it out of the water. It Takes Two blows Village out of the water. Actually, I really like that game too. So thank you so much. Follow us on Twitter at Games Are Fun Pod, Instagram at Games Are Fun Pod. Subscribe to our YouTube channel. Help us out over there, and you can email us at contact at Games Are Fun Podcast. All right. I think this is episode 125 of the Games Are Fun podcast. Thank you all for tuning in, and we'll talk to you next week.